Hey everyone, it's Zack Beck. Bitcoin just received the stamp of approval from the United States government, thanks in large part to a new ETF that was just launched on the stock exchange. This is causing the price of Bitcoin to skyrocket, and more individuals are becoming increasingly interested in investing in this cryptocurrency. So what I want to do in this video is break down in detail what is going on with Bitcoin, what is the difference between this Bitcoin ETF in comparison to just investing directly into Bitcoin, and the strategies that you should put into place if you're considering putting your money into this cryptocurrency. So let's take our time, dive in the details, and jump into it right now. As previously mentioned, the price of Bitcoin has been skyrocketing as of late. It was just early in 2021 when the price of Bitcoin had actually started to fall below $30,000, and now it has gone back up over $65,000. This is causing many individuals to get a lot of excitement associated with this and thinking that there is no end to where this could go from here. You might be asking yourself, why is the price of Bitcoin going so wild right now? Well, I think there are a few factors that we need to take into consideration on this one. First is that we're living in a very inflationary dynamic in our economy right now. That is thanks in large part to all the spending that transpired within the federal government over the course of the pandemic, with the CARES Act, the American Rescue Plan, various stimulus measures, and basically the Federal Reserve purchasing assets and liquidities and all sorts of things that were basically pumping up the economy, but at the same time devaluing the dollar to an extent. You've probably seen this in your own personal life, where prices across the board for things are becoming increasingly expensive, and at the same time wages aren't keeping up with that. So we're having this really delicate dynamic going on with the economy, and Congress is considering spending even more money, with the Biden administration proposing the Build Back Better agenda, and right now he's looking at about a $1.9 trillion bill if he can get the votes of Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. So from that vantage point, we're looking at additional spending going on, which creates a little bit of less confidence in the United States dollar. Furthermore, we have the debt ceiling approaching, and that is actually coming up at the beginning of December, and if the United States government were to default on its debt, that would be a detrimental effect to the economy. In addition, it would devalue the dollar further. So what people are looking for is basically a store of value or a safe hedge against some of the issues going on with the United States economy, and Bitcoin seems to be that safe haven right now, similar to how people used to think of gold in that respect, where you're looking at it from a store of value and you speculate on the price of it, as opposed to it having a value itself because it doesn't really do anything in our economy as a whole. So that's one thing to take into consideration. Secondly, what we are seeing even more so is that there was an ETF or an exchange traded fund associated with Bitcoin, and that was just approved by the Securities and Exchanges Commission, and it is now in the New York Stock Exchange. This is basically a watershed moment for cryptocurrency writ large, because it is basically the United States government giving tacit approval to cryptocurrency, because now you can go and actually purchase what is called the ProShares Bitcoin Future ETF, and if you do that, you're actually investing not directly into Bitcoin, but on the future speculation of what the price of Bitcoin will be in the future. So that is where we are right now, and basically more and more individuals are becoming increasingly excited about the possibility of investing into Bitcoin, not only as a hedge against inflation and also against the United States dollar, but then it also provides us with a little more stability as an alternative investment that you could put into your 401k or your Roth IRA or just your normal investment itself. And furthermore, we're seeing a broad expansion of retail investors who are becoming increasingly aware and increasingly excited about other alternative investments that yield a higher return in comparison to your standard index fund. So there's a lot going on right now, but I want to break it down even further. Now, as we're seeing the price of Bitcoin going higher and higher at the present moment, more individuals are becoming interested in actually wanting to put their money into this cryptocurrency. And before we do so, I want to take a step back and look at what we saw happen just over the course of the last year or so when it comes to Bitcoin. And what happened is that basically in early 2020, the price of a Bitcoin was about $10,000 per coin. Then during the course of the pandemic, people had a bit more money, a bit more discretionary income, also a little more time to do some investigation, some research, and determine what they wanted to do. And because of that, we saw more people putting money into Bitcoin as an alternative to their normal standard investments. And as a result of that, the price of Bitcoin skyrocketed from about $10,000 all the way up to over $60,000 within a few months. And then we saw more institutions get behind it as well. You could remember when Tesla via Elon Musk invested $1.5 billion into Bitcoin. We have hedge fund managers like Cathie Wood who put money into Bitcoin. And then you have institutions who are actually adopting it as a payment method, such as PayPal and now eventually Square. So with broader adoption writ large, more individuals are finding this to be a valid alternative and something they actually might want to put their money into. But then what we saw happen is that the price did drop from $60,000 to below $30,000 at a relatively quick rate. It just shows the validity of this cryptocurrency. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, but what we're seeing now is then the upswing happening on the other side. So we started at 10,000, went to over 60,000, dropped down to below 30,000, and now we're up over 65,000 at the present moment. This could be even lower or higher by the time I actually post this video. But what we think about it is that right now we have a trend line moving upward. Some people say that Bitcoin crashes upward, meaning that it does this where it goes high, goes low, then continuously goes high. So if you actually look at the longer term chart, it continuously goes further and further above. But what you want to take into consideration is as we are getting more mainstream adoption, as we are getting more coverage in news media, more people are becoming aware of it. And it's interesting to note that as the price of Bitcoin was falling just a few months ago from 60,000 down to 30,000, more people were selling and got fearful. And now as we're seeing the price going up, more and more people are wanting to buy. This is something you want to take into consideration when you think about investing. Warren Buffett actually has a saying. He says, be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. Because what we're seeing is that the market is a very emotional approach towards investing, and people generally vote more with their gut and their heart as opposed to their mind. So from that perspective, we want to be careful that as we're seeing more and more adoption, that we're not either looking to invest in this and try and make a quick buck. We're looking at it from actually whether or not this is a good store of value or if it's a good investment as a whole. And that's something that you need to determine for yourself. I'm not here to tell you that it is. I just want to give you all the information necessary so that you can make a well-informed decision. Now, before you go and actually invest into Bitcoin, there's one important thing you need to do, and that is to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. I'm just kidding, but if you wouldn't mind tapping the like button, it would actually help the channel out a lot, help push this video to other people, and it would mean a lot to myself personally. So if you wouldn't mind doing that right now, it'd mean a lot right now. Now, if you're considering investing into Bitcoin, there are a few things I want to share with you that hopefully will help you make a wise decision moving forward. Now, bear in mind, I am just a guy on YouTube. I cannot give financial advice, but I hopefully can provide you some principles and understandings when we're looking at making wise decisions that hopefully are best for our long-term benefit. So from that perspective, I just want you to be aware of number one, and that is that FOMO generally backfires. You might be seeing yourself reading these headlines, reading about Bitcoin millionaires or people who are getting, millionaires because of Dogecoin or whatever it is, and you might feel that you're missing out on an opportunity. And that is basically FOMO writ large. We don't want to miss out because we want to think that we're a part of a social dynamic where we're a part of what other people are doing, and that basically provides us with more comfort because as individuals, we feel better in groups as opposed to just solely on ourselves, especially when we're making these types of decisions. Because we can look at someone else who said they are investing into Bitcoin and we feel more comfortable because they've gone through that process, not knowing that they might have just as little information or awareness of what it is in comparison to yourself. We usually feel more comfortable when we see more people doing something. And that is what is going on right now with Bitcoin. This is not a knock on Bitcoin at all, but if you're operating with FOMO right now, where you're reading these headlines, you're seeing the price of Bitcoin going higher, we might be at a point where we've reached market saturation, and that is causing more people to invest, which causes the price to go higher. And because of all this media exposure, people are going to continuously put their money in thinking it's a good investment. And then what could happen is if this price falls down at some time in the future, we'll see more people exit their positions. So what I want to encourage you is if you're looking to actually invest into this, don't do it because of FOMO. Don't think that, oh my gosh, if I don't invest right now, this thing's going to go to $1 million, then I'm screwed. Think about it from the standpoint of if you actually believe in this as an asset, if you actually believe in this as a store of value, and if you actually believe this is a way for you to maybe make money long term. And if that is the case, think about that and don't allow FOMO to dictate it, allow your mind to dictate it, and be more strategic in how you approach the situation. Another thing to be aware of when it comes to Bitcoin or any digital asset, especially in the cryptocurrency realm, is that it's almost impossible to know the true value of any of these cryptocurrencies. Whether you're looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Omi, Shiba Inu, Dogecoin, or whatever it might be, you really have to understand that this is a new territory for us from a financial perspective. These are new assets, they're new tools. We don't know what the regulatory environment is going to be moving forward, and quite frankly, the utility of a lot of cryptocurrency is still unknown. Yes, there are alternatives like with Ethereum and smart contracts, NFTs that we're already seeing develop in our society, but it's very difficult to understand what the true value of these are. So be aware that if you're considering actually placing your money into cryptocurrency, it is more speculation than it is investing. In comparison, when you invest into a stock, you're investing into a company that you believe in that hopefully has the ability to actually make money long term, and also you can look at their track record. So when you think about this from an investment standpoint, we have to view cryptocurrencies more as speculation, and we have to view stocks as more of an actual investment. Now, once again, you could say that you speculate speculate on the stock market too. I totally understand that as well. But we have historical data as well as projections that we can look at for companies, and that usually can help us make more informed decisions. In comparison, when you're looking at cryptocurrency, it is more of a visceral kind of gut level decision that you have to make, that you believe you're getting it on the upswing and you're hoping that long term it's going to be a better alternative. And you think about all those factors I talked about previously, inflation, alternative dynamics going on with our economy, and how this could be a store of value against that and more people adopting it writ large. And you even see other countries going in that direction, with El Salvador being the first. So that is something you want to take into consideration, that we do not know what the actual value of these cryptocurrencies are. Some people say they're worthless. Some people say they're going to be worth $1 million in a few years. So I wouldn't be surprised if it landed on either direction, because this is a very unique circumstance. This is a new type of dynamic for us as individuals who want to grow our wealth long term. So you want to be very cautious when you're putting your money into this, that hopefully you're not YOLOing everything into cryptocurrency, that you're taking a balanced approach and thinking about this from a holistic perspective in a way that could benefit you at the end of the day, not what you hope is going to happen at the end of the day. Another thing that is important to be aware of is that even if we are suspecting that Bitcoin is in a bubble right now, that really isn't going to help us that much. Because if we believe something is in a bubble, meaning it's an overvalued asset, it doesn't necessarily mean that we should invest into it, even if we think the price is going to go higher. Because truly, at the end of the day, if we don't believe that it is that valuable, we need to be very cautious before we place our money into it. And like I said previously, there are crypto bulls and crypto bears out there. Some people think this is the new revolution, this is where everything is going long term. Others think this is a joke or a gimmick. So I think it's probably somewhere in between. And I think we need to take a sober approach when we think about these things. So if you actually believe that we're not in a bubble and you think this is truly that valuable, then you might consider investing into it. On the flip side, if you really think this is inflated, this is only getting more valuable because it's getting additional media exposure, and you don't want to enter into your position at the peak of the market, maybe this is a time for you to be holding back a little bit. But ultimately, it's your decision based off of what's best for yourself. Now, I try to take as balanced an approach as possible when it comes to my investments. What I do primarily is invest into index funds, which is a broad market index where it allows me to invest into basically the total stock market or the S&P 500. And there's historical data that shows that index funds perform very well over the long term. And because I don't try to operate as a day trader where I'm trying to do things where I'm making a quick dollar, I usually think of it from the long-term perspective as to how can I have more wealth in 10 or 20 years from now, as opposed to just right now in this moment. And that is what's best for myself. Others have different ways to do this. People like to day trade, people like to do swing trading, people like to look at alternative investments. And when it comes to cryptocurrency, some people are more heavily invested than I am. For full transparency, I am invested a little bit into cryptocurrency. About 5% of my net worth is tied up into different cryptocurrencies, and they are as follows: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and I actually have OMI, which is something relatively new. And then I even bought Shiba Inu not too long ago. This was actually something that happened when Dogecoin was peaking and everyone was talking about it. As a joke, I put about $100 into Shiba Inu, which is the equivalent of like 11 million Shiba Inu tokens. And it's been funny to see the price of Shiba Inu go significantly higher over right now. But really, that was something I want to do more as a test to see if this is a social dynamic that is strictly going on. Because when we look at all the people who went into Dogecoin, I want to see if the same thing would happen to Shiba Inu, and actually we're seeing a little bit of that going on right now. But the reason why I capped it out at 5% of my net worth is because I do not want to have more money into that type of asset class than I am comfortable with. Because if I lost that 5%, it wouldn't really be that big of a deal to myself long term, and it wouldn't really affect my long-term objectives and goals. So that is where I have more peace of mind and comfort, and that is my personal risk tolerance. You might have a very different risk tolerance, and that is totally fine. So go in the direction that is going to work best for you. But I just want to make sure I'm providing you with much detail as possible, and hopefully as balanced an approach as possible, so you can make a wise and well-informed decision. That way, if Bitcoin goes to the moon and you're invested, great. But also, if it crashes completely, you're not going to be damaged yourself. So that's what I want to share with you, and I hope that was helpful for you. With all that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching the video today. If you wouldn't mind, please tap the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Help push this video to other people who might need to hear it. Furthermore, if you wouldn't mind, please comment down below. I'd love to interact with you, get to know you, do any research on your behalf so you can make well and wise informed decisions moving forward. Furthermore, if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to the channel. That would mean a lot to myself personally, as I do everything I can to create positive content that hopefully makes a positive impact in your life by encouraging you and myself to lead lives of meaning and purpose, all while maintaining balance and moderation. And if you do subscribe to the channel, please tap the notification bell. That will notify you every time I post a video, which I do on a weekly basis. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching the video today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Talk to you next time.